I have to be honest. Both parties made a lot of very detailed and valid points. And on this occasion, because I don't want to perceive to be sitting on the fence, I weighed the arguments and I decided that the point that LeBrag made about being away from any medical assistance if something goes wrong, because that's something that's quite a serious issue in Australia, especially in the outback. Only for that reason only that I'm giving this one to him, but Kush, it's only by the width of a hair.
Well, I also argued the point too that, I mean, just because you're in the wilderness doesn't mean you're an hour and a half out of town. I can literally walk 5 minutes from my house and I'm in the fucking wilderness. Which is also why bears in the fucking fall tend to walk through my goddamn trailer court. That's not a joke, dude. Like, I had a really fucking scary incident about 2-3 years ago where me and my girlfriend were walking down the street to my fucking mom's house, and I stopped her and we walked backwards because I saw 3 bears walking up the fucking road. Mama, daddy, and baby, and I was not playing that fucking game.
I know that. I'm laughing because I know.
Now, I love how often DJ and I are going against each other as adjudicators because you're both doing such good arguments. I'm actually giving my point to Kush. Again, by a whisker, but 2 big points he made were the danger level. He would prefer to be kicked versus eaten. I believe that's extraordinarily important. You both mentioned, you know, available services, easy to help, freedom, you get more in the woods, but either way you get freedom. So I think that was going to be one of those points that didn't actually need to be made. Now, LeBrug said less necessary skills. However, there are a lot of necessary skills as a hobo. For example, charisma, being able to trick people into giving you money, etc. So that was your minus point that actually lost me. And the reason Kush wins, and this is literally a hairline, but the reason he won is because he made yet another Wilson reference. I mean, fuck me. Wilson! So, yeah.
I just find, like, you do have more freedom because you have less, like, there's nobody around to fuck with you, but there's only so much you can do with that.
Yeah. Okay.
Granted, like I said, I'm not an outdoorsman. I know a lot of people would be like, I'm going fucking hiking, and I'm going on the river fishing kind of deal. I don't like fishing or hiking.
I think all 4 of us are city slickers, though. Like, I get terrified when I have to follow something through the woods for work. Especially since I live at the foot of Springbrook National Park, which is like, you know, I'm
about as city slicker as you can get in a town of 80,000 that's surrounded by trees and like a sea all over you.
Yeah, but see, pine trees are very different to a rainforest. Like, a rainforest is just pure scary at night. I don't think I'd be able to, like, I would commit suicide if I was forced to stay in a rainforest overnight, unless I was in a really safe spot. Because I'd feel a drip of water on my back and go, that's it, it's a redback, I'm gonna get bitten and die now.
Yeah, at least I hear it coming. Oh, I'm fucked. Oh, I'm fucked.
The thing about bears is they can smell you 30 kilometers away, so even if it takes a long time, they're still gonna fucking find you.
And they can run like 60 fucking clicks. You can't do that. I can run pretty goddamn fast, but not that long, and not as fast as a damn bear.
I'm looking at all these questions that normal people would struggle with, but, like, I'm looking at this one, for example, like, would you rather live without the internet or live without air conditioning and heating? And I'm thinking about Kush just going, he'd go without the air conditioning.
That's heating and air conditioning, bro. It gets to minus 40 here in the winter.
Could you survive it, though?
Well, if we assume that there's nothing heating the house, no.
You can't
if
even
there
just
was
put, like,
if there was no
newspaper up on
gas,
the windows,
like no burn, no. It stays minus 40 throughout the night, and then you you hit minus 28 during the day, it doesn't matter
TJ,
how
what
well
have
you
you done to
insulate
me?
your house, you are going to lose that temperature somewhere. Every time you open the door, every time you open the fridge, you still have to function and live.
Okay, well, I'm
At least in
upset because
Canada,
I didn't choose
that
that
one wouldn't
question
be
now.
possible.
Good work.
And yeah, I believe at like minus 40, if you were outside in just like regular clothing, you would get hypothermia within 10 minutes.
Fair point.
And be dead by like an hour. And that's assuming you have a pretty good tolerance to cold as well. Another good example, at minus 40, it took about 60 seconds for me to get...
Yeah, I have, and I'm just going in here just to make sure that it's working properly, because I can't figure out why this is happening. No, my computer's off. Alright. Right. God, this thing can drop you to alcohol.
The lead by 1 point. And DJ, we have to decide on a winner here. There can't be a draw, otherwise we need another question. And quite frankly, I think LeBrugs is, well, you know, getting tired. LeBrugs is getting tired, yeah. I don't know. Yep. So, Kush,
who would like to answer
loved...
No,
You're answering first. Well, you both answer, and then the person who debates first is Kush. So, loved or feared
I'll
by
let
all
LeBrook
gentlemen.
answer first, and I'll try to argue the counter.
Are you sure?
Yep.
You definitely want to take that road.
It's whose line is it anyways? We might be taking points, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, fair point. Ironically.
I'm here for the discussion and the argument, not to kick ass and win.
Alright. So, loved or feared by all gentlemen?
Well, I'm taking the whole concept of Star Wars into play here, and I'm going, I prefer to be loved than feared, because we know what happens to people who are feared.
They turn into DJ?
No, they get thrown down the energy shaft of the Death Star.
Oh, okay, fair point. I like being thrown down a shaft every now and then.
I'd like actually to be the shaft.
But do you like getting thrown down a shaft where you don't touch the edges?
No. Well, that's it, everybody. Kush wins. Nah, jokes.
I prefer to be loved by all, basically, because I just don't want to be feared by all. I don't think that being feared by all is actually productive. It keeps people in line for a while, but eventually people start going, we hate this fucker, we need to do something about him. Now rise up with pitchforks and torches and come storm the castle, and eventually you and your lovely life is gone. And you fuck ass by every single fucking peasant and left to rot in the sun. Probably the head on a spike as well.
Nice point. Nice point. Is that everything?
Is that it?
Well, for now.
For now?
So I'll argue the feared by all. Now, I will also counter the Brew's argument slightly, because people can act against their basic fear, but we are assuming that you are feared by all. No exceptions, no Luke Skywalker, no Han Solo, no none of that shit. Everybody is terrified of you and what you could do. That way, you could control humanity. We can also assume that if you are smart enough to retain that control, we also can take from Star Wars for this. I mean, yes, Emperor Palpatine was killed, but his clone lived on and inspired even more terror in the galaxy in the Legends series now, thanks to fucking Disney. Now, the other thing that you can do with fear comes from one of my favorite animes, Code Geass. Alright, so I won't go into whole details, but basically what he did is he became Emperor of the world, focused all of the hate, aggression, anger, everything that everybody hated got fucking blown out of the way because he was the shining pinnacle of fear and hate. And when he was killed, which he actually instigated, got his best friend to kill him for this, everybody didn't have anything to hate or fear anymore. That wouldn't last forever, but that would give people some hope. Next, we know that many people are arrogant and assholes, much like myself, and unless you hit them with something so terrifying that they will not, like, perfect example, I guess, if somebody comes at me, they better fucking kill me, because I'm going to kill them. Period. End of fucking story. If they try to kill me and they fail, they're fucking dead. And that type of a deterrent can control people, especially people who will not be controlled in other ways. The other thing I will raise is, I might love my girlfriend, I might adore my girlfriend, but if she came up to me and said, "Can I borrow $100,000? No, I love you, but not that much. Now, if you walk up to somebody and they are terrified of you, and you say, "Give me $100,000 right now," they're gonna do it. Because they're terrified of the consequences of their actions if they go against what you say. So in terms of ultimate control, fear is better to control people than love. It's better to be loved, especially for your own warm feelsies, but if you want to get shit done, you need to terrify some of the people into doing it. Another perfect example, climate change. Nobody gives a fuck about climate change until it directly affects them. They might love the planet, they might love living their current life, but until they are terrified that their own life is in jeopardy, many people will not make a true change. So I feel like fear is a much more inciting force, and it's a much more, quote-unquote, productive force. You can get a lot more shit done. Another perfect example, the pyramids. He had, like, you know, the pharaohs had slaves, and they were too afraid to stand up to him, and he accomplished the pyramids, one of the most crazy fucking structures in mankind that we couldn't replicate today because we couldn't get people to build that shit. So, you might love your pharaoh, but you're not gonna slave away for 60 fucking years building him a tomb unless you're so terrified of the fact that he's going to kill you, your family, and your descendants that you're put to fucking work and you don't get a choice. I'm not saying I approve of this method, but I'm saying from purely a logical standpoint, if you need to get shit done, and you need to get shit done right fucking now, you need to be a totalitarian fucking fearmonger.
I would say yes, if you really were asshole. If you were the type of person that basically didn't give a shit about anyone else's life and you wanted things done now and you wanted things done your way and you're not going to break any argument, then fear is obviously the way to go. However, I am not a person who considers myself to be evil. I do not consider myself to be anyway in alignment with people of that nature. And for me, to use fear is not constructive, it is destructive. I'm much more interested in creating constructive relationships and constructive unions rather than undermining everyone else's confidence in themselves, and therefore creating a very volatile situation which needs constant maintenance at a macroscopic level in order to make sure that everyone stays in line. Whereas on the other hand, if you inspire, if you can lead, if you can create a role model example for people to follow, to aspire to, then there's no maintenance involved. It is self-maintenance, and it takes care of itself. And eventually, all you have to do is say, I've got an idea, and people go, fuck yeah, let's do it.
I refute that. There's many people that have, once again, climate change, perfect example, or we shouldn't be using oil, we should be going to alternative fuels. People love Neil deGrasse Tyson. He's been saying it for fucking years. But another point is, love changes. Fear doesn't. You might love somebody today and not love them tomorrow. And even if you were adored by all, it's easier to get over your love for somebody to do something than it is to get over your fear for somebody to do something. Fear is a much more basic instinct. It is much more ingrained in your subconscious, not love. Love is there, love does happen, but fear is a survival instinct. Love is not. And I will state that the most productive civilizations, the major wonders of the world, were constructed under fear. Whether their leader was a totalitarian or they were afraid of what was coming across the road, the Great Wall of China, the pyramids, the Eiffel Tower, not so much about fear, but I can go on and on. The Roman Empire. Whoa, Chewie, holy fucking echo, bro.
Every single example of a megalomaniac, dominating, tyrannical, evil, societies
I'm not disputing that. I'm just saying, if, like, from a logical standpoint, once again, I'm not supporting the idea of ruling by fear, but from a logical standpoint, you can get more done with fear than you can with love.
I would like to bring up the example of, modern-day example of Bhutan, which is a country in the associated not far from Mongolia, China, I think that area. Currently, the rest of the world works to a gross national profit or gross country profit or whatever it's called, GDP or whatever it is.
Domestic product.
Thank you. Bhutan uses a GDH.
Yeah,
gross domestic happiness. Their focus is on the happiness of their community, and the society they've created is incredibly strong and self-sustaining, self-supporting. And there's actually a bit of a role model to the rest of the world and how you can do it. The greed we have in the world, the corporate greed, the government greed, even the religious greed we have at the moment is what is fueling the need for fear. And as long as greed and avarice and all those negative sorts of personality traits continue to persist, yeah, people will want to use fear to control because that's the quickest way to get what they want. It doesn't last. It never lasts. Eventually, people are pushed into a corner. You either fight or you flee. Those who flee will be living in fear. Those who fight will fight from fear. Fear changes just as much as love does. Love is as much basic instinct and will evolve with time, and so does hate. Both of them are exactly on the same spectrum, just opposite sides of the coin.
I dispute that one as well.
Of course you do.
Fight or flight has nothing to do with love. It has to do with fear. That's what gets your survival instinct going.
I didn't say fight or flight had anything to do with love. I said fight or flight.
But you said that love is as much of a basic instinct as fear. That's what I'm disputing. It is not as much of a basic instinct as fear. You can go through your entire life never loving anybody or anything. It is possible to survive that way. You cannot survive without fear. If you are not afraid of bears, if you are not afraid of car accidents, if you do not have fear, you cannot survive. That is a basic instinct. We do strive for love, we do seek love, but it is not a requirement for survival. That's what I'll dispute for that one. Now, back to the fear versus the love equation. Once again, pretty much any civilization with a tyrannical leader has accomplished fucking crazy shit in the short term that they were there. Whereas people who have ruled with love A, are generally killed off by the people who rule by fear, and B, don't get as much stuff done. World War II, prime example, Hitler ruled with fear. Everybody else fearing him is what spurred the country into action. And while his citizens loving him for an extended, like, for a period of time did help him grow to the state of being able to control everybody with fear, by the end of that, he was controlling most of the population with fear. And the population was too scared to stand up to him. There was at least one guy that tried to bomb him because he wasn't afraid of dying or he wasn't afraid of Hitler. But if he was terrified of Hitler to the point of not willing to risk his life, because fear will impact your ability to do things, it's a survival instinct, and it will trigger that fight or flight, and that is a chemical reaction that you cannot avoid. You can deny it to an extent, but it takes training to do that. Fear and control through fear is more productive for the amount of shit that you would like to accomplish. We're also saying, would you rather rule by fear or by love? And I would say, as much as I would rather not rule by fear, I still find it more productive in the sense that I can get more shit done before I'm killed off. If I ask people, oh, can you please stop littering? I'd really enjoy it if you could stop littering. If you love me, you'll stop littering. Some people might go with that. If you litter and a cop finds you, you're getting shot in the fucking head, I can almost guarantee you the amount of littering is going to decrease by a much larger margin. I'm not saying it's the better way to rule, but I am saying that it is the stronger way to rule. And Rome's another good example. I mean, people loved the previous emperor, and they profited. I mean, Caesar came along and conquered with tyranny and fear.
TJ, are you trying to catch our attention?
Sorry?
Are you trying to catch our attention?
Catch your attention? What weird? Oh, the breakfast! Sorry, hang on, I'll take my headphones off, I forgot. Hang on, sorry.
It's okay.
Kush, I will say this. Fear, as has been demonstrated throughout history, gets things done quickly, but in a destructive way. And generally speaking, things that you want to last don't tend to last when brought on by fear. Love and inspiration, yes, it takes longer for these things to become into place, to become reality, but they have a longer lifespan. So yes, I agree. Fear can get things done. Love can get things done as well, just in different time frames.
Sorry about that.
I can't think of anything that was built that's like a mega structure or anything that's like really crazy that was built out of love, as much as I can think of things built out of fear. I mean, Rome once again was building itself up, and, you know, people loved the previous emperors, and then Julius Caesar came along, the conqueror, and he paved the way. He got way more done. He had way more aqueducts put in and shit like that because people didn't say no to him.
And there's a reason
China rules by fear right now because they are sitting there and they're going, okay, you're only allowed 2 children. And I support that because they have an overpopulation problem. Or it's one child. I think it's 1 child per family. Because they're trying to decrease their population.
Kush.
But if the first child is a girl, you're allowed to try for another.
No, I believe it's in China, if you want to have the second child, then you have to pay for everything yourself. The government doesn't support it.
Alright, Kush, do you want a recent example of someone who leads by love?
Sure.
Elon Musk.
Yeah, but
he's inspiring.
He's advancing things, yes, but he hasn't produced nearly as much as the Great Wall, the pyramids. And you want a perfect example of a modern facility that oppresses people and gets away with shit all the fucking time? America. Nobody is willing to stand up to America. They have accomplished incredible things through fear, not through love.
You've completely ignored what I said before, which is, yes, I acknowledge through fear things happen quicker. Through love things happen slower. I agree. Yes, you will see more examples of fear. We tend to uphold people who do things quickly. We tend to uphold people who've done things through brute force and fear, like the despots of our time that we've made statues of. Things that progress slowly. We don't tend to notice as much, but they are there. They can progress and they last longer. That's my point. I'm leaving it at that. I'm not going to have any more because I think we've gone far too long.
Okay. Well, I'll make one last point, and I mean, granted, it's, you know, referring back to the Code Geass thing, but you can be an oppressive fearmonger and still get things done for the better
we
of
were
the
talking
citizens.
about Code Geass? Okay.
Well, Code Geass is a wonderful example of ruling by fear, but having a noble intention behind it. He ruled by fear. He overthrew nobles and overthrew structured governments that were corrupt. And everybody was too afraid to do anything against him. And then when he died, all of the hate, all of the fear died with him. And he was able, granted this is a cartoon, but even in reality, if he was to do this in reality, he would have had a much better run having people fear him. And if I had to rule some way, I would try to rule through fear, because I feel like I might be more productive. And I'm not saying I would destroy the fucking world. You can be a fearmonger and still try to be productive for your citizens. You don't have to be a Kim Jong-un. You know what I mean? That being said, I feel you would be more powerful as a ruler with the fear effect, and you can accomplish more, whether that's evil or good. Done.
Damn, boys, that was intense. Oh. It is actually, I think it's
write me
actually
a recommendation
harder.
for the fucking university now?
It is actually harder to adjudicate this than just to take part. I think I'd be happier losing. I'm glad I pitted you two against each other. This is one hell of a controversial episode.
Love, but above all else, you must not be hated.
Hated and feared is completely different, though.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
True, but if they fear you enough,
I hate a lot of people, but I'm not
eventually
afraid of them. I'm also afraid of a lot of people that I don't hate.
I've got
you
2
get what
pages
I'm
worth
saying.
of points to go
If
through here.
people hate you and fear you, that just...
And when I say 2 pages, I mean 2
you just have
pages
to
for
be careful.
each of
If you're
you.
gonna be feared, you gotta be careful not to also be hated, because there lies the future rebellion.
Well, actually, I did raise that at the beginning. We are assuming that everybody is terrified of it. And granted, some people can still be spurred to action through terror, but Luke Skywalker wasn't afraid of, you know, like, he might have had reservations and some fear, but he wasn't terrified of the Emperor or Vader, and that's where the rebellion was able to get in.
Actually, in the story of Luke, he had to overcome his fear, because he was fearful of you. He had to learn how to overcome that.
But if Yoda was fearful, he never would have been able to overcome that fear.
One of the first things I
It
noticed is
takes
straight
somebody
away it's
unfearful
come
to
back.
teach that.
To Star Wars.
Straight away it's come back to Star Wars, yeah.
I'm still
We've
hoping
all
that,
jumped
you
back
know,
to Star
like-
Wars. It's amazing how that always
Well,
happens.
I'm not entirely hoping.
Damn
but
Iliad.
if we don't get our shit together, I'm hoping the rest of the world, you know...
Oh,
Which I'm
goodness,
more
there's so many
pumpy.
enemies
like,
here.
yeah, we've had
We've got a
enough
third
of this bullshit.
Damn it, let's get the scoring done.
Trying to eat breakfast.
Just for a small point, I'll also raise, like, there's a big point that was raised by a comedian that I never considered before, and I totally understand why American citizens, even if they do stand up, are gonna have a much shittier time about standing up. Because you have the right to overthrow your government, but that rule was instituted when everybody was running on muskets. Now you guys might have AR-15s, but the government's got drones. You know what I mean? Like, trying to stand up to the government that's tyrannical at that point, they can annihilate the fuck out of the civilian populace if they felt like it. And all they would have to do is do a true decimation, 1/10 of the population, and the other 9/10 would fall in line pretty fucking quick. And if they started getting out of line, another decimation. Russia proved it in World War II.
Fellas, debate's over. No, I'm just joking.
Well, that wasn't really so much about the ruling over fear. That was just like a comment of current events and how that could go real bad. And I never truly considered that until I heard the comedian talk about that, and I was like, oh, fuck. That makes a lot of sense. I would not want to be sitting there on the fucking White House and all of a sudden... done. That's it.
Yeah.
You don't hear the plane, you don't see nothing, just... Is somebody playing Wile E. Coyote?
Now we just need to get this truck to the right spot.
Done.
Wile E. Coyote? Oh, right. Sorry, didn't realize that was part of the point. Yeah, so anyway. Alright, let's go over the points that I have. That might give me some more clarity as well. So, We'll start with Kush, because you went first. Now, you read into the question in depth straight away, so you pointed out that it was feared by all, and that means, you know, it's not just feared by most, it's feared by all. DJ, what are you doing? We're getting shot at. I have no ammo left to protect us here, sorry.
Sorry, man, I'm trying to think of what to say as well.
No, it's okay. Kush, you did raise some monumental examples, such as the pyramids, Julius Caesar, basically America. You even went into depth about Hitler.
Julius Caesar. Everyone pronounces his name wrong.
Yeah, because of the fashionable Caesar salad. One thing I'm kind of annoyed you both missed, and granted, it's probably just because I have a completely different view of every situation to every other human being. When you were discussing Hitler, and you went back and forth between each other at that point for some time, to actually get to this stage, like, if LeBrug had mentioned this, it would have almost been an instant victory based on just the points that were made up to that point. If LeBrug had mentioned that Hitler originally gained affection of people and then became the feared ruler, that would have been a bit of a pivotal point. Yeah. But because you're going with the feared, I can't really give you points for mentioning.
Here's the thing, though.
The pros of affection.
He came into power by being loved, but he didn't rule with love. The question is, which would you rather rule with? And he had a plan to get into power with love, and then rule with an iron fucking fist.
Yeah, which is why that point works to your credit. However, if LeBrug had mentioned that, he would have gotten some brownie points, is what I'm trying to say. Granted, he's still got all these other points that I have to go through. Now, while Kush is on the phone, I'll keep explaining the rest of them. So, people that were loved killed off by a few rulers, that was a pivotal one. That sort of tipped the seesaw a little bit over that way. You've got... He brought up the litter point, which I think is an attempt at bribery, so I'm going to deduct that. Like, if you litter and people tell you you'll die... Granted, I have made that point myself a few times. I've always said people wouldn't speed if their cars were impounded on the first time. You know? If your car goes the moment you get caught doing the wrong thing, you wouldn't do the wrong thing.
Well, drinking and driving here is cracked down on so hard that a lot of people don't do it anymore. Like, if you drink and drive here, you get a breathalyzer installed in your car, which you have to pay for, and you have to pay a monthly fee for, and you have to breathe in it every time you want to fucking turn your car on, and you get a fuck ton of fines and fucking points on your license. Like, it costs you 5 to 10 grand by the time you're done if you get caught intoxicated above the legal limit here. And that fear of being caught and having that happen.
Yes, but now, there's the other point I'd like to bring up, which is police aren't meant to rule with fear, at least not here, okay? We try not to anyway. I know there are some marketing campaigns that basically we don't actually get a say in at my level, and, you know, those sort of get a bit fearful, like, you know, they always show people dying and see their life flashing before their eyes if they speed through a train crossing or something and the train comes along, and it's like a couple of seconds versus a couple of years, blah 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 blah. But is that fear actually affection? I think those sorts of things, being afraid of losing your license, is done through, possibly done through, people's affection towards saving people's lives. And so that's something to definitely consider. Now, fear can still be used for betterment. That was an excellent point that Kush raised. And you don't have to be Kim Jong-un, basically, was the follow-up on that. Now, enough praising Kush, we need to definitely give some love to LeBrug over here. So, fear works, but can often backfire. That is true. LeBrug mentioned Star Wars as well, so brownie points there. And, like, just in general, we've got, you know, you don't personally... Like, LeBrug mentioned a personal example where he didn't respect somebody who ask them to do something out of fear. Like, if LeBrug was asked to cough up $100,000, he said that he personally would rebel against that if everybody's afraid of that person. I think that's where that point lay. We've also got a volatile situation. This is another one of those big pivotal points that I like to bring up from the conversation we've all just had. Sorry, I was a bit confused about what was happening there. Yeah, volatile situation, so a lot of micro and macro management. It's true. I mean, if you look at World War II, Hitler certainly didn't have an easy time staying in power / in alive.
He also had 3 countries that weren't afraid of invading his ass, though.
Yes, there is that, but that was caused by him being a ruler of fear. Before that, granted, there was a war or two, but he started expanding into other countries, pushing his power boundaries, and that is when people started retaliating more and more and more. I mean, he can handle a certain amount of retaliation, certainly, but when it was basically World War II, at that stage, Hitler was definitely outnumbered because of the fear he had produced. So I'm giving a big point to LeBrug on that one. The self-maintenance, megalomania, etc., etc. Now, what I really liked about LeBrug's argument was the part about Bhutan. The gross profit versus the gross domestic happiness. That was nice. I enjoyed that. I would have never come up with that, personally.
I will state, I've never even heard of the fucking place.
Check it out. Check it out. It's pretty incredible.
Considering how you feel about Switzerland, I would actually advise that we all check it out, because I want to see if it's, you know, comparable.
Oh yeah, like, ideally, I'd love Switzerland to run the whole fucking world, but in terms of, you know, being able to get the whole world to do what they want, I feel like love isn't gonna get, you know, no racism here or anything like that, but obviously the Indian culture is different. If you tell them they're not allowed to do something that the rest, like, they've been doing for hundreds of years, they're gonna do it anyways, whether they love you or not.
Now,
and I will also raise, I did say about decimation. Because that was something, like, Russian soldiers were not down for a lot of shit, but when you're told if you turn around and turn back and run back at us, you're going to be mowed down by your own troops, most of them went forward. And if you make enough examples, like if LeBrug was to stand up to me as a tyrannical ruler and say, I'm not giving you shit, and I kill him, and I kill his family, and I kill his girlfriend, and I kill his girlfriend's family, I bet you that's going to convince a lot of other people not to say no.
Yes, but LeBrug himself will definitely try to suicide bomb you.
What it also does, it also convinces a lot of other people to oppose you.
Yeah,
If they weren't terrified of the fact that you get destroyed.
Russia, debate is over. Debate is over. I am getting to my point. I just want to finish going through the list of things LeBrug mentioned. So after Bhutan, LeBrug identified that often fear is as a result of corporate greed. That does kind of fall into Kush's play, I've got to be honest. However, it's a good point, and it makes sense. Like, we look down upon corporate greed as a people. Like, our party regularly discusses it. And so that was more of a neutral point, but it was definitely worth mentioning. Fear is fast but destructive. I agree. If you want to get stuff done, sometimes you do have to topple over nations, but sometimes you can just go slow, which was LeBrug's overarching point from earlier. Now, the two things you guys mentioned, the main points, Kush, you mentioned America is essentially a fear-harboring nation, and LeBrug, you mentioned Elon Musk as a love candidate? Inspirational, yeah.
Love of preserving the planet.
Elon Musk is making a massive amount of change, but if anything goes wrong with the worldwide Tesla launch, if there's any hypocritical sort of situations down the track, he will be judged harshly. So we still have to see with that one, but I agree with you. Elon Musk is a big point in that regard. And love lasts longer. I've got an example of that right in the heart of Surfer's Paradise. We have a statue of a dog. There was a dog that waited for its owner for like ages, and eventually, you know, it passed away, and the owner returned and erected a statue of him, and the government, you know, polished it up with some bronze and, you know, city council funding, and that statue has been there for years, and it's just, no one graffitis it, no one damages it, because, you know, it's a dog. We all love dogs, and like, that's a really random example I've got in my own life, but it is an example.
I've got another example. The movie Red Dog.
Yes, it's exactly it's a similar sort of situation with the dog statue in Surfer's Paradise, actually, yeah.
Now,
Okay.
I understand what you're going for, but how does that affect how you rule?
Well, because it's an excellent example of love lasting longer, which was one of LeBrog's points.
I guess that's true.
If we're going to say, would you prefer to be feared by all or loved by all? We're sort of pointing out that being feared by all, in LeBrog's point of view, was a shorter lasting, less efficient overall sort of a route to power. But here's the other thing: it doesn't really mention whether or not you need to be in power. It's just a battle of fear versus love, essentially, because it's would you rather be loved or feared by all? And it's interesting how both of you took to rulership, leadership, and politics.
Well,
no one
with
mentioned
everybody
the
fearing you, you
down-to-earth
can rule
part.
the world.
Yes, but
With everybody loving
could
you, you might
you-
have more opposition.
But you could just also rule the streets. You know, you don't have to rule entire countries.
That's true. And I mean, at that point, I can give gangland examples of people ruling by fear over love, because frequently the ones that rule by love are killed off, and the ones that rule by fear are still around because they're not afraid to shoot somebody who they think is a threat.
Yeah.
It's not the favored method, but yeah. I find with the way the world is, and the fact that most of the world is run by tyrannical fucking things, and most of the main wonders of the world were constructed by tyrannical and fear-mongering individuals, and those things have truly stood the test of time. Like, don't
DJ,
get me
have
wrong,
you-
the dog statue will last, but Great Wall of China is going to be here for
Oh, so
thousands
those
of
two
years.
cars go.
But people remember the horrible history and how it was constructed, and the reason they go there now is to show love and respect occasionally. Like, not all people go there for love and respect. I mean, fucking Justin Bieber literally crawled on the back of his bodyguards to go check the place out, and for no other reason.
Oh, wasn't that where he abandoned his monkey or some shit, too?
Yeah.
Bought a monkey, couldn't take it with him, so he's like, fuck it, you can keep it.
Yeah. Anyway, DJ, I'm not going to give out my points yet. I want to hear what you have to say on this entire situation, because one of us might bring up a pivotal point for the other person as well, so I do want to hear what DJ has to say.
Well,
It's a tough one. It's such a tough one.
It is. It is a very tough one, and I have to be honest with you. My personal opinion, I would lean more towards love than hate. But on the balance of the arguments that were made, on this occasion I'd have to give it to Bush, because unfortunately the emotional hate I've noticed is a very ruthless and very raw and basic emotion that even the dumbest fuck on this planet can indulge in whenever he or she feels like. But it seems that the capacity to love is something not everyone can do. But the capacity to hate seems to be something just about everyone is able to do. And I'll also tell you that a lot of the Roman emperors during the Roman leaders during that 1,000 years, some of them were through fear and some through love. Now their success are partly dependent upon how that particular generation was feeling at the time. Right? So when you have a happy people, that rented up more. But I have to agree though that if you want to get things done and you want to keep people in line, even if it's only for a short period of time, I hate to agree with Bush on this because I don't really agree with it personally, but I do believe his arguments do justify hate over love on this occasion, so I'm giving it to Bush. Sorry,
Are you
I agree
giving
with a
him...
lot of your points, but yeah.
Okay, now I will point out that that's 2 points to Kush, which breaks the tie in Kush's favour at this stage. Now, I still have to give my points, and it's still literally anyone's game. So we'll be right back after this short break. Nah, jokes.
Insert
why I
ad.
watch channel commercial stations
Insert ad
anymore.
here. I think this will be the one place where I do actually have an ad. That would be funny. I think people would be
Actually,
entertained
next
by
time
that.
we should probably do that, so that when there's an intermission or you know one of us steps away or something, you just insert an ad for them to see, and then something gets made there. I don't think people would be too opposed to it either if we just pop in 1 or 2 ads every like hour.
Now, my decision is completely based off not personal opinion. Now, you think you may already understand that. You think you might know who's already won it, but let me tell you, you're wrong, motherfucker. Kush, you've done excellently. You read the question. You did try to bribe me. I appreciate it. We all went to Star Wars. For me, LeBrug was just passionate about it to a degree that, I couldn't ignore. And when it comes down to the fear is fast but destructive, I think he hit it right on the head. I think he hit the nail right on the head. And granted, it's like, I personally believe that we do achieve a lot more through fear, as unfortunate as it is, and I definitely want to break that cycle. But LeBrug's right, it will backfire eventually, and, ultimately it may be worth nothing. Like, the pyramids will erode. The dog statue, being encased in bronze, will kind of be there, also eroding, rusting away one day, maybe even moved off eventually. But the memories will always be there.
And if people love the dog enough, he'll be remade.
Exactly. If people love the dog enough, it will come back. Just like Star Wars Episode fucking 8. Nah, jokes. The point about Bhutan was just something I never saw coming. And, like, if it's a fake point, I'm going to say this now, if it's a fake point, you've really fluked your way through here, but I don't think it is a fake point, because it seems researched.
No, I'm aware of it, Commander. I've heard of this.
Okay.
It's true, it's true. They use a happiness index. I've heard of this before.
Now, Kush, the reason I'm not giving you the point, and I thought I would explain myself, is because you spent a lot of time completely just arguing LeBrug's case, rather than defending how fear is more long-lasting.
I defended that. The wonders of the world that we still have today that were built through fear over love still exist. I can't think of one major structure other than maybe the Eiffel Tower, which really wasn't built out of love. It was just built to be a marvel. Still exists.
Statue of Liberty.
Statue of Liberty wasn't a sign of love either.
No, but it wasn't a
Statue
sign
of Liberty
fear.
was a gift saying, good job making your own country and pushing the British out. It was the French slapping the British in the face.
It was the French showing their love for the Americans, and the friendship has lasted ever since.
That's a good point to make too. But yeah, no, like that was totally my opinion, but I think that was France slapping Britain in the face after they just got their ass handed to them, like, here's a big statue, good job for showing them who the fuck is boss, guys.
I'll admit, the one thing where LeBrug nearly lost my overall vote was when Kush mentioned that fear can still be used for the betterment of society. But again, LeBrug defended that by pointing out it doesn't have to be that way, etc., etc. And for that reason, I'm giving LeBrug 2 points, which literally makes him the first person to have beaten Kush.
Yes.
No, I've lost every round.
Really?
Yep, every single one.
Sorry, LeBrog, you're not the first, but that was a massively close game, and holy crap was it hard.
Hang on a sec. I haven't finished yet. Commander.
You had 2 points. You gave them out to Kush.
I know, but I just feel like putting pressure on you now. Listen, You think about, like, most of the rulers that have ruled the great civilizations, right, have always had to fall back on fear. Even some of the good emperors occasionally had to wipe out a few founding relatives or a Praetorian general that was planning to do something. And I mean, Claudius had to have a couple of his family members put to death. Constantine the Great had his wife and a couple of his children cut to pieces because he suspected they were planning a coup against him, and he's the first Christian emperor. Look, I don't want to agree with Kush on this, but he is right. He is absolutely right. That the fear and hatred are the only
You're
thing
missing
that...
one absolutely influential key point about this entire question. It doesn't say, would you rather rule by fear or rule by love? It says, would you rather be ruled by all... would you rather be feared by all or loved by all?
Yeah.
Nobody actually reflected on a personal level.
Even then, because
Except
in
for a
my
brief
opinion,
moment.
if everybody fears you, you can put yourself in a position of power. If everybody loves you, you still can't insert yourself into a position of power. They might raise you up to that, but if everybody fears you, everybody knows you, you have control of those people.
I'm not
Whether
sure
you're
the
a
question
ruler
was
or
about
not.
power, though.
Exactly. It's not about power, and LeBrug's the only person that actually mentioned one tiny thing about personal, like, experience. That's why he got my point.
That's because
My dog
personally, if
loves
everybody
me.
feared me, I'd rule.
Yes,
If everyone loved me,
but
that'd be
the
awesome.
point is you don't have to rule. You need to make more points. Like, I'm not criticizing your argument. It's my job to point out what you could have done better. What you should have done to get the win from me would have been to mention why you'd like to be feared by all on purely a example of personal life right now, apart from getting into power. Because we seem to float around that in Star Wars.
Well, like I said, if I had everybody fear me, I would put myself in power, personally. That's what I would do. And then with that fear, I would control the populace and try to steer them in a direction that they might not be happy with, but would, in my opinion, steer humanity towards a better future.
But I think overall we're all happy with a better future.
Yeah, but especially with today's age, like, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it needs to happen, but if somebody went into China, granted it would fuck things over, but if everybody in China was afraid of you and you said shut all the fucking coal plants down right now or everybody dies, they would shut, at the very least, most of the coal plants down, and you would have a major effect on global warming. Right there.
Okay. But if, let's say, Gandhi went through and said we need to shut all of these damn coal plants down, sure, people wouldn't listen to him initially, but damn would he be a hero later when we all die.
I'll also raise, the great George Carlin put it fucking fantastically. He went on to say, I'll paraphrase, but he's like, Gandhi, JFK, Lincoln, humanity is not ready for love. Every
but I
person
think we're
who
getting
has
to
ruled
that
with love
stage
and
now.
tried to do things better has been killed off, and that's still happening to this day. Or they're buried under fucking everything. Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders should have won the nomination, and he should have won the election. Everybody fucking loved him. But the sad truth of the matter is love isn't as influential as fear. Regardless of whether you're in power or not.
Primary was rigged, so we don't actually know whether he would have won or not if it weren't rigged.
No one even covered getting pussy in this one. I'm so disappointed.
Well, actually, I'm about to cover that now. That's what I've been trying to get in for the last couple of minutes.
I'd rather have loving pussy than fearful pussy.
Fearful pussy.
Basically, it boils down to this, and I can respect from my personal experience. There have been times when I've had a girlfriend who has tried to use the fact that I may have a soft spot for her emotionally, and has tried to use that in order to manipulate me, maybe to agree or do things that I might not want to do. Now, if I try to gently put my foot down, I've learned through personal experience, it never, ever works. You've actually got to put the fear of God into them that one time they step over the line too much and really give them a shock so they don't do it again. And then unfortunately taught me a nasty experience that in fact I want to say it's not enough. You've occasionally got to crack the whip. You have to crack the whip. I'm sorry to say it, and I know that
DJ, I'm going to debate this one myself. I'm going to debate this one myself. Because never once have I had to scare my wife into doing what I want her to do.
Okay, well,
Apart from anal sex, but no, check.
Okay, well, no, but in answer to that one, well then obviously I haven't dated someone as nice as your wife, because the majority of women that I have dated have always tried to pull some sort of shit at one point or another, try to emotionally manipulate me or whatever, and I've had...
That's what I'm saying, why is that person your girlfriend? Why? They should have just been cut off right there.
No,
it sounds like you're afraid of letting them go.
No, it's not about...
I'm not saying you are,
about...
I'm just saying that's how it sounds.
No, it is not about letting go. It is about someone who thinks they've got the right to tell you what to do, to tell you what to say, and to tell you what to think all the bloody time. And that's something that I'm not going to tolerate. And I've noticed that if I lose my temper once, when they step out of line too much, they don't do it the second time.
Okay.
DJ.
Simple as that.
DJ. Hold on, DJ. Let me give you a counterexample. My wife, ex-wife, used aggression and anger to try and control everything around her, dominate things around her, even me. And it didn't work because I refused to submit to that sort of treatment. In fact, what's actually happened now,
but then you're not
she's
truly
changed. No, I was shit scared because she could get physically violent. Okay, I was shit scared, but I stood my ground. I was shaking in my boots. I was scared to fucking hell, but I stood my ground, and things changed for the better. It can be done without using fear.
Also, I'm going to put this out there.
Standing your ground wasn't using love either.
No, I did. I did it through love.
You did it for the love or through love? Because I gotta say, that's two very different things.
Both. For love and with love.
Okay, well, let me give you a perfect real-world example. Drug dealer.
That was a real
You cannot rule through love as a drug dealer.
Of course not, because the whole industry is dependent on you being...
Businesses too. Don't get me wrong.
When did drug dealers get involved?
You can be a loving boss, but your employees have to fear the consequence of getting fired, or they get overly fucking zealous with things.
I disagree.
They will do shit. Oh, dude, I'm telling you, man, it happens here all the fucking time. All the fucking time. Businesses are taken advantage of, and businesses take advantage of people. And
that's bad management.
They do it out of people's devotion and loyalty and love. And I see it happen all the time with chicks, too. DJ is fucking right. Chicks will play you with love, but that being said, a lot of those guys will eventually walk away. That being said, if they are terrified of walking away because, say, she can get him beat up or killed, or she will call the cops on him and say that he beat the shit out of her, he is much more likely to stay in that relationship. And the same can be flipped over for women as well. You might, like, the woman might love the man, but if she is afraid of what the man will do, she is more likely to stay with him. Love can be overcome just through logic. Fear
I don't think girls would like to live in fear in a relationship
I'm not
either.
saying they want to. I'm just saying, in terms of being feared versus being loved, you're still more productive and you can still get more done with fear. Even if it's not ruling.
Well, look. I'm going to have to point this out, though. The debate is very much over.
It's a discussion now.
Is it? Because to me, it still feels like a massive debate. Originally, I'd like to point out DJ set me off, which made me have to counter-argue, and then as a result, we got into this entire discussion / what feels like a debate again. I would like to say this has been intense, and I really enjoyed it. I don't know about you guys, but that was definitely the most intellectual version of Would You Rather Royale we've ever had.
I like arguing the point that nobody wants to take.
Yeah, you do a very good job of arguing the point that nobody wants to take. I'll give you credit, because I almost went for you in the last round, Ben.
I am still very, very confused.
Well, we were just finishing off our last round of Would You Rather Royale with our two strongest contestants, Kush and LeBruge. And yeah, basically all of this is a debate for points. As Kush described it earlier, it is essentially, what was it again?
Whose line is it anyways?
Yeah, whose line is it anyways?
It's a game where we take points, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, so that's the overarching thing, is like, I've made my judgment, and LeBruge has won by a very close 1 point. Like, that is close. That is very close. And it's only because that round had 2 points that he won. I'll point that out as well. Because if it was still 1 point from both me and DJ, it would have been
He still
Kush.
would have won, he was 1 point ahead.
I was 1 point ahead.
Oh yeah. Well, there you go. But yeah, I've explained myself. DJ is still debating me, but he's also just running around Northern Kurat in the snow wearing tracksuit pants and a black mohawk while running up a hill full of red
when
trees.
When are you gonna get these girls together to have that debate? Because I'd love to adjudicate that shit.
Yeah, you'll be on the adjudication for that, fucking sure. I think we should all be there. I don't know, we can try in a week. I'll see if I can get it organised by then. If not, we'll just have to pretend to be girls, and that'll be very interesting as well.
I don't know if me and DJ even contain the capacity to do that. I'm too much of an asshole to fucking take over the women.
Hang on, we haven't discussed what sort of girls. I mean, DJ could very well be a cross-dresser with a massive penis.
Well, that's a transvestite. That's a totally different thing.
Yes, but also may identify as a girl. So.
The only time I've ever been a cross-dresser when I've woken up in the morning and found their clothes all over me.
Oh, come on, you must have done a dare in your life.
I guess not that. I don't know what
My 13th birthday, I got chucked in a frozen pool.
Yeah, that shit like
and
that.
lived.
Well,
You see, I never had to be
I'm
subjected to that
relieved to
shit
hear
because
that you're not undead.
Hang on, wait, what? Not
my cousin.
undead.
My cousin
Yeah,
fucking, he's
you-
like...
You're saying you're relieved to hear I'm dead?
You made the point that you live,
Oh, yeah, well,
and you're talking here with us now.
yes, I am.
But yeah, I never had to go through any of that shit because my cousin was overly, like, comfortable with his sexuality, and he would do fucking hilarious shit. Like, one day, he dressed up in my aunt's fucking dress, and with her bra and shit, and, like, stuffed the shit out of his fucking bra, and got my cousin to put this horrible, shoddy fucking eyeliner job on him. And then he went out into the living room, sat on my grandfather's lap, and went, "How's it going, sexy?"
Oh my god.
Like, it was the
This
funniest
story.
shit ever.
This story.
Fucking hilarious. Totally
Welcome
straight
to
as a
Yaks to the
fucking
Yak
arrow,
Fest.
but so fucking comfortable with it that I never had to dress up in a shit fucking clothing.
I'm an actor, I've had to do it.
See, I'm an actor, but we never had any props or anything like that, and it was improv and shit like that, so it's not like you could just play a chick.
I had to twice.
And actually, I got to meet Augusto Bawal due to Street Spirits. He was the one who founded Social Action Theater, and he used that to help overthrow an African government.
We are inbound.
Cool.
Well done.
I've also got to meet David Diamond, who's the guy in Vancouver who's one of the other, like, him and the artistic director of Street Spirits, Andrew Burton, were like his disciples, essentially. He taught them the whole fucking method, and they've gone on to do crazy shit with it. My artistic director actually won this Queen's Jubilee Medal or some shit like that, which like only 30 people got awarded for his contributions and shit. And we were the first Canadian acting company to win the All-Stars Award from the All-Stars Theater Group in New York. And it was like Johnny Depp and fucking a couple other famous actors, acting groups that have also won this award, so it was a fucking big deal.
Did you love winning that award?
I didn't get to accept it, actually. We won for the contributions that I did the year before, but that was the year that I graduated, and my grandmother was getting sick, and it was either do my graduation or go to New York to accept the award with them. And
Dude, should have gone to New York! Fuck school!
Once again, my grandmother was sick, and I will also point out, I'm the only one in my family that has graduated on time. And actually, a year early at that. Nobody else in my family has graduated on time. Most of them have graduated after high school and shit, but got their dogwood or their dogwood. What's the one you get when you? Well, I don't know if you guys have the same thing, but yeah, dogwood's like you get that out of high school, and then if you go and you upgrade to high school level through college, it's called something else.
Okay.
Anyways, yeah. So it was either, you know, stay there for my grandmother and do the ceremony or go accept the award. And my stepsister went and took the award.
Oh, okay, that's not too bad then.
I think so. Where's the truck stopped?
I don't know why the truck has stopped, but I'm defending us. Don't worry. I'm sniping the enemies. Maybe they stopped us.
Oh no, we're at the bridge, that's why. No, get back on. I see why it stopped me. We're on a narrow road.
I'm coming. Alright, well, I would personally like to sign off there. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching Graz and Turtle's Gaming Yakfest once again. That was a very long session. I may put that into 2 episodes. Let's see how we go in the edit. The Would You Rather Royale would probably be the second half. Now, I will also point out, thank you very much, LeBrug and Kush, for your debates. Damn, that would have been hectic on your brains tonight. Like, does anyone feel like they're melting?
I've got a headache.
No, I do
I've
this
actually
on the
got a headache
daily.
from listening to them like a lump. You know what I mean? Like their discussions and the Farcry 4, you know, gameplay just merged into one haze. I don't know what was going on.
You have no idea how hard that was to adjudicate.
Yeah, it was a nightmare.
I feel like sometimes I let you guys down making adjudications that were less intelligent than the arguments.
I'm
but yeah,
curious,
look, we had to make a decision.
Did you get a full page of notes?
Yeah, like, I actually have 8 pages now. Did you want me to list them all? Do you want me to pull them out of the bin and list them all?
No, I was just curious how many notes you actually ended up taking.
Well, look, I used big font, but 8 pages of clear to read, cursive written, 2-line points.
Wow.
Put it that way. So, yeah. It was a lot to keep track of. I'm glad I wrote it all down, because otherwise I would not have been able to keep up. I can only imagine DJ having played Far Cry properly this entire time. Like, the way he's leaning over the steering wheel, even in the game, that's probably what he looks like in real life right now.
No, but seriously, both of you guys debated so well that sometimes I got to a point where I'd forgotten the points you'd made earlier and I had to remind myself.
I had to read the question a couple times.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that helps with adjudication a lot, is just double checking the criteria.
I found that the wilderness one versus the hobo, we got way off track after the fucking, like, the danger thing. Like, that was like, it went from, like, the conversation about it to... BC has these types of shitty animals, and Australia has these types of shitty animals, and basically the outback sucks.
Yeah. No, but see, those are the sorts of things, if necessary, and I'm probably not going to do it, but if necessary, I will edit them out if they get boring. But obviously I'll keep all of your points in there, and I'm not going to edit it to make it sound like someone argued it worse or better, etc. Yeah, like, gosh damn, was that was intense, and thank you so much for making the final round of Would You Rather Royale this season so absolutely exciting and intellectual and just in-depth. That was hectic.
Fuck, I was having a hard time thinking of a way to defend the fear-mongering when it first got to the point. Like, I was like, oh, fuck. How the fuck am I gonna swing this?
Yeah.
And I figured that you were going for the loved one, so I just like sat there as soon as I heard it, and I'm like, oh fuck, I'm so gonna like, I need to think about this shit right now. Like that 30 seconds was necessary.
That was good fun though.
Yeah.
Have fun, J.O. Here you go, man.
So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, this is German Turtle 05. Once again, thank you for joining us. And this has been the final episode of Would You Rather Royale for this season. I hope you've enjoyed it, and stay tuned for next season's Would You Rather Royale expansion pack. Still kind of have to decide what we're doing with that, don't we? Yeah, definitely going to do more with this because it's an awesome segment. DJ, I'll let you sign off the rest.
It's goodbye for me, and it's goodbye for him.
Alright, ladies and gents.
Peace, motherfuckers.
Laters.
I think we need to get Chewie into a debate.
Yes, definitely. If we manage to get the girls on next week, we'll just make that the bonus. The bonus content.
Well, the other thing we'll have to do is try to find questions that pertain more to females as well. Because, I mean, I don't think they're going to sit there and be like, well, I'd rather have my back lined with dicks
Actually,
than have a
I was kind
vagina
of
on my
hoping we
forehead.
could. I was kind of hoping we could actually ask them that one.
Well, we could, but that one would be like the joke one with no points assigned to it.
Alright. What we could do is we could
yeah.
introduce it like, this is one of the hardest points we had to argue as men. Now, we'd like to hear what you have to say on the matter.
Definitely the shirts one, though. That one, by far, is like a good chick question.
Yeah. We also have to be careful, which is ironic, considering everything we've just debated. We have to be super careful not to pick anything offensive.
Yeah. You're gonna have to keep it funny, but
I'll be right back.
half clean.
Yes, ma'am. It's been so long since I've actually said the word yes, instead of yeah, man, or sure, or yep, cool. No, I've never actually said yes. Ever since the movie Yes Man came out, I just feel like it's, you know, it's owned.
Commander,
Yes.
I need you to help me take in the outpost, but undetected.
Undetected? Okay, let me double check my arsenal. I wasn't going to say arse. My silencer has disappeared, so I'm just going to quickly go to a weapons cabinet.
Okay, hang on, I have to go with the helicopter. It's one of the accidents.
Welcome back, sir. I'm going to turn my microphone back down now. Can you guys still hear me here?
Yep.
Yep, we can
Sweet.
see you.
Happy Builder? What the fuck is Happy Builder? Just taunts add the happiness and the construction of basic subjects. That's a new taunt.
It still hasn't attached my silencer. Could you do a fast travel to reload the game? I'll be back.
Alright, it's reloaded now, so I should be able to get the silencer. So that glitch is it. Let's go.
Here's an interesting question for you, LeBird. Not for like debates or anything, but what's your stance on genetic manipulation?
Well, my stance on genetic manipulation, all it is simply slightly more advanced way of doing what we've been doing for centuries.
I also feel it's a much more effective way because I've seen morons produce morons. They didn't really like, you know, yeah. But yeah,
let's face it, from a floral point of view, we've been splicing plants together. We've been doing all sorts of crossbreeding and so on and so forth. We do it with dogs, we do it with cats, we do it
okay.
with everything.
Okay, I'll get a little bit more in depth with the question then. Because the main way that we're figuring out how to alter our genomes is through stem cell research. What's your stance on that one?
That's a bit of a difficult one, because there's well, hang on, echo.
Sorry guys, just give me a sec.
Because there's the moral, ethical dilemma of where the stem cells are coming from. But at the end of the day, you can get stem cells quite ethically and quite morally. There's nothing wrong with that. Wow. And we are getting someone going into the
tonight.
But we can also, the research is getting close to the point where we can replicate stem cells without having to be invasive in any way. So I think once we can get over the moral and ethical issues associated with stem cell research, I think it's actually quite an exciting science.
Actually, that's a fair point. I do like stem cell research.
I support it 100%.
Glitch.
And not only that, but like sequencing, gene sequencing. I don't like the idea of gene sequencing for the sole purpose of I don't like the government having control of that, because much like with the problem is like much of these technologies aren't inherently good or evil, but the people that are in control right now are, for all intents and purposes, and just to kind of like generalize it, fairly fucking evil. HARP could be bringing all that water that's drowning Texas and help put out the wildfires. So why the fuck aren't they? You know, like, I understand messing with the atmosphere can definitely cause some problems, and I don't understand the entirety of the atmosphere and how it works, so maybe there's something to that, but considering that we've got plenty of evidence to show that it's been used before, and in destructive ways, not productive ways, that's the only thing I worry about. Because if you know the certain genes that might cause somebody to dissent, or, you know, be more prone to, you know, being against authority figures, then you can essentially phase that gene out. That's the only problem.
Well, that's the thing with any technology, is that you're going to have people who want to use it for the right reasons, and you're going to have people who want to use it for the wrong reasons. And that's not the fault of the actual technology or research, that's the fault of the people using it. So you've got to,
that's where I go with the whole I don't have faith in humanity.
Yeah. I have faith in humanity, in that there are enough people out there that do want to do the right thing. But I see there's also people out there who don't want to.
Well, a lot of people are happy burying their head in the sand and being, you know, ignorant and bliss. I get that, but there's far too many doing that right now for us to actually make a proper stand.
There are people that are just... There are people that do that purely because they know they can't make a change as well. Like, they've given up hope, like, you know, I give up on humanity.
I think what you're seeing slowly though is everything's going to be all in one. There's a crisis coming, and eventually critical mass will be reached, and we'll either collapse as a race, or we'll stand up and do something about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, here's the other interesting...
DJ!
You ever heard of the lattice effect?
I did once, but can't really recall it now.
Basically, it was an effort by scientists to try and prove that this is all a computer simulation. It wasn't 100% successful, but it's based on the fact that there are certain things in physics and science that don't make any sense. They exist in a way that they shouldn't, but if they exist in a way that they should, then life wouldn't be possible, the universe wouldn't be possible. And the perfect example of that is the weight of dark matter. It is lighter than it's supposed to be. We don't understand why, but if it was as heavy as it was supposed to be, planets wouldn't be able to form, and the universe just would be a big old glob of shit. moving away from itself. But it's a very accepted theory by many leading scientists, and there's actually a 40 or 50% chance that we are in a computer simulation. But there's three things that could possibly happen as a result of that. One, we hit the point where we can simulate things, and ethically we don't. That's indicative of us not being in a simulation. B, we get to the point of simulation and go extinct, indicative of us being in a simulation.
What's up?
Or C, we simulate things ourselves and are instead the people that we worry that are controlling us. But it's a really interesting theory, and
I can't do anything about
science is advancing and how...
because it's not a mission. It's not a mission, that's why. We have to leave the area.
The research, if I recall some of the articles I read, which admittedly was a while back now, there was one group of researchers whose counter-argument to that was the fact that a lot of the basis of the theory for us being in a simulation were based purely around assumptions as to why things weren't the way they thought they were. These assumptions were about, this is what it should be. But the thing is, as we keep finding out more and more about this incredible universe we live in, we basically...
you are now party owner, DJ. You will have to re-invite Pendo. He doesn't have any...
simulation theory is that it's an assumption, really.
LeBrug, I actually encourage you, Nerdist, the channel Nerdist on YouTube, did a really good example of both arguments. And
sorry, DJ, dropped out.
He doesn't just point out things like, oh, well, this doesn't make sense and that doesn't make sense. He more argues, like, would we be able to create a simulation that would be able to create humanity? And at the rate that we're going, if we used today's technology but on a moon-sized scale, not even just a planet. He explained the planet, but the equivalent of all of our history and everything up until this point would only take about 1,000th of its processing power, if not a 10,000th of its processing power. So you could have a small moon, basically a Death Star, that would be able to simulate all of human history.
That's no moon.
Life.
That's the simulation of your mama.
Yeah, I don't disagree with it. In fact, Vsauce is one that I've been, it's a YouTube channel I've been watching. They've done
Vsauce tends to freak me out a bit, actually. Like, he always goes over the top and those facial expressions. Ooh.
Does.
I feel like all of you would actually enjoy Nerdist, because a lot of the times
I've watched Nerdist.
Like, he tries to do, like, theories from comic books and shit and make it work in our world. Like, he explained Deadpool's healing factor and how all that works.
Literally, the Death Star is impossible.
Not impossible, it's just not the way that we would...
Based on the resources we have.
Yeah,
and
that's
how we
true,
use
but, the most recent one I saw on the Death Star was actually that all of the walkways would be, like, it would be it wouldn't be layered top to bottom, it would be layered around in circles, and they would just be a series of smaller circles inside of smaller circles. So that you could actually have gravity. Otherwise, if you were at the top right, the gravity in the middle would be pulling you at an awkward angle.
Yeah.
You'd be walking slanted back, and then as you got to the middle, you'd straighten up, and then as you got to the other side, you'd be leaning forward and, like, walking uphill. And that was definitely one of the more eye-opening ones that I never considered before with Death Star and shit. But yeah, he does a lot
DJ,
of
were
really
you
cool...
spotted?
No.
Okay, why are they shooting mortars? Because they haven't seen me yet.
I think it's because they found the dead bodies there.
Yeah, but why does that make them shoot mortars? We need to take out the mortar. Do you have eyes on him? Damn it.
much have I got now? 29,200,000. Okay.
Wow, jeez, LeBron, can we come to your place?
It's Elite Dangerous, bro.
I know. That's like $29. Bad jokes.
It's like $290. 29,000 maybe.
I'll go 29,000, yeah. Oh no, 290, because he's trying to save up for like an Anaconda. That would be like, you know, buying a truck. Or an army tank. I'm assuming anyway, like an Anaconda-sized ship. Yeah.
We are inbound from the south.
Sorry, DJ. To be fair, they
Like, hey,
spotted you
LeBrew,
first.
can we come to your GTA server? Oh, fuck, it's such a pain in the dick to make money in that fucking game.
Oh, it is, isn't it? Mind you, it's given me something to do until November. I actually thought that, Elite Dangerous would carry me all the way, but Grinding Man just became too grindy, ironically.
The new patch changed things.
Oh, has it?
Yeah.
No,
I didn't even know there was a new one. Oh, well, yeah, definitely. The Thorgoids and stuff, that'll make it fun.
there's been a couple, and I found a couple of locations where you can do quite a few missions and very, very quickly get paid some random amounts. I got 2 million just now for 2 deliveries to the same location. I had to travel 300 light years to do it.
You see, I mean, that's cool and shit like that, but like, money isn't as difficult as rank to get in that game. Or, even beyond that, engineering equipment is a bitch.
Which, by the way, I've got to say, is the way it should be. The game should be geared towards giving you more hours of gameplay, as opposed to making you work harder to earn in-game items. Which is where Grand Theft Auto goes incredibly fucking wrong. Because it's so... It is backwards, it's injustice, and it's sort of like, we've already paid for the game, we've already supported you, now do your part to entertain us. But no, to earn the entertainment in Grand Theft Auto, you first have to go through bullshit. And that's where I think, you know, Elite Dangerous is so much better. It's on a high horse, granted, but still.
Well, and somebody had mentioned that with all the upgrades to the hangar, this new DLC, if you wanted to buy and upgrade everything, would cost you over $80 million. A shark card, a $100 shark card, gets you $8 million. So they are essentially trying to say that this DLC is worth $1,000.
It's worth $1,000. Yeah.
That is bullshit.
They're trying to get at least 200 out of every player, I reckon. That was their goal. And then there are going to be people like Scoon, who are hardcore into GTA as opposed to Star Trek, and they'll actually do that.
Yes, I will.
Scoon was actually all about the Star Trek. He spent like $4 grand on Star Trek online.
Yeah, I know. But see, I have a scary feeling that even though I won't go up to $4 grand, I'm still going to spend a considerable amount on Battlefront if it has those transactions in it. I know I'm going to. Like, I'm not going to be able to stop myself. Even with GTA, I just wanted to get us to progress faster. I was like, come on! It's like, I don't care about this grindy shit anymore.
Well, and
granted, that is a weakness of mine.
justification in the event that I get it on sale, because then I'm still just only paying full price to the company. But that's one of the only ways I really do it. Or if I like CD Projekt Red, I wouldn't mind paying for their expansions instead of a season pass, because I'm fine with supporting them. They give me real content.
Yeah. Elite Dangerous, I didn't mind spending money on. It was actually, I felt it was fair, because the original game price was only about $40 with everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so they've given me entertainment, and they've told me I can expand on it by doing this, this, and this, personalizing this. And to me, it was totally worth it.
Dangerous has been out almost as long as GTA 5, and the price has gone down for Elite Dangerous, but the price for GTA has stayed solid.
Yeah, they're still selling a $150 copy of it.
Yep.
Oh shit. I'll be back.
And they don't fix, they don't fix enough of the shit that causes people grief.
Mm-hmm.
They make it so that it's harder for you to make money, but they don't make it so that it's harder for the modders to get in, or for people to glitch the money and shit like that, like...
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's just all about the money for them, and it bugs the fuck out of me.
Yeah. I just hope EA doesn't do the same thing with Star Wars. They need to make it all about the fans. Look, if they make it all about the fans, then I'll spend money on it. If they make it all about the money, I'll ditch it like I did with GTA. And then come back years later and spend discounted money on it.
Why can't I
I'm of the same mind with Shadow of War. I sincerely hope that they didn't make that shit too grindy to try and sell their fucking loot crates.
Yeah. If it's too grindy, I'll do a couple of episodes on a stream and then put it down before I spend money on it. I'm so glad Assassin's Creed hasn't actually stooped to it yet.
Give them time, it is Ubisoft.
Well, look, Syndicate they tried, and that's when they had to write a massive letter of fucking apology. Was it Syndicate? No, it was Unity, sorry, Unity.
Yeah, well, considering they barely ever support, fuck, what is it called? The one where you're fighting samurais or Vikings or fucking the other one. For Honor, that one. Yeah. Okay, the community had to come together and stop playing the game for 24 fucking hours before Ubisoft finally said, okay, we're taking your concerns into consideration and we're planning to do a patch. This was also after they held their tournament and somebody won the tournament using an exploit that hadn't been patched in over 6 fucking months, and they had to give it to him.
I mean, good on that guy for, you know, making essentially a game company martyrdom itself, but at the same time he fucking cheated.
Yeah, he cheated to win, but at the same, like, that was the one thing that Pretty Good Gaming fucking raised. The point was, I mean, hate him because he won by cheating, or love him as a hero for exposing this in front of everybody and forcing Ubisoft to do something about it, but...
It depends what his intention was. That's where I'm going. That's where I stand. If his intention was to expose Ubisoft, hero. You know?
Well, I feel like it would have had to have been anyways, or he could have tried to make it a little bit fucking stealthier that he was doing it. Or not done it every single fight. But yeah, after winning by unlocking all skills through a fucking exploit in the game that had not been patched or touched or looked at for fucking ever, Ubisoft had to be like, ah, for fuck's sakes.
Careful, DJ, like, that heavy might see you.
They've gotten way too money grubby. Yeah. Fuck them right now.
Damn it!
You missed. That's alright.
I did, but they haven't killed anyone yet, so I'm just running away. Hang on, I'm coming back, don't panic.
Alright, I've got my crossbow out just in case I have to shoot them.
At least my weapons are quiet now.
I've got 3 engineers.
I got him in the back, he was running towards him, I got him.
Thank you. There's another one.
I'll try to sneak around.
Got him. The heavy. Are you behind or in front of the heavy? I can't see where you are.
I don't know if I can do a takedown, but I'm over here.
Shoot him in the back of the head, it's an instant kill. Shit.
That's alright, I just kept pumping in with the...
Yeah.
I pumped in with about a dozen arrows.
Saved all 4. Nice. Okay guys, we don't need to concentrate anymore, you may continue talking.
That's tricky.
Hey, everybody else has disappeared from the party.
Never here.
No, they're still there.
I was gonna say, did they drop out? But yeah, you obviously haven't.
Okay, well then fine, relax.
I feel like we've all said everything there is to say. Like,
I'm still trying to fucking sort through mods, for Christ's sakes. I just stopped when we were debating, because I can't read the mods and listen to the counter-arguments at the same time. But I still have like 10 more fucking pages where there should
Yeah, give me the money.
Yeah.
Give me the money. Pay the mercenaries and less.
I'm trying to fucking get this crabbing guy. Pain in the ass.
Yeah, I think what we did, it's the equivalent of like, whatchamacallit, you know those gatherings where people would gather around a table and they would just talk? Back in the olden times, there was like a specific word for it. What was it?
Communication.
Nah, funny man.
It's not a convent, but it's something similar, I think. Not a congregation.
No, it was a very simple word that has a double meaning.
Just in
Forum,
case
maybe?
you're interested, LeBrug, I figured I'd send you that because fucking that I'll just triple check here, but that should be fucking. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but LA is like having a real bad time right now.
Yeah, it's an amazing video actually.
And it's only a couple minutes. It's I think only 2.
I never expect.
There you go, mate.
But
I never
like,
expected
you
it
know
to
where
be
the
so
Hollywood
close to the
sign is and
city.
the LA hills and shit? They're on fire. And like really on fire. You should, yeah, it's only a 2-minute vid, you should definitely check it. You will be blown away by the shit you see. It looks like a fucking movie, like it looks like an apocalyptic movie that you know, like, it's not like I haven't seen the hills burn before, I just haven't seen them burn legitsies before.
Wow.
Legitsies. That coming from the guy who almost won the final round of Would You Rather Royale.
I have to make up words, man, come on. Canadian. Okay? What about that?
A boot.
Ain't about that.
It's actually a fair point. We should have a topic about made-up words that became real words. Like texting. Or meme.
Or the words that were originally, like, sarcastic and now we don't know what they actually meant originally. Those are my favorite.
Words that actually held a sense of prestige but are now used as a way of slandering someone.
Posh.
Cunt.
Nerd.
Did you know that the origins of the word cunt were actually to describe a high priestess from, I believe it was Mesopotamian or Aztecs? I'm not too sure which one.
That's interesting. Didn't know that one.
Yeah.
Don't get detected.
Oh, dude, my controller's in my pocket. I have no control. Hang on. I'm standing here making sandwiches, that's why.
Just crouch on the
Why can't I do this? I did it once before. I'm trying to follow some guy's wake signal, but I can't seem to drop out on him. Did it once before, but I can't seem to do it again.
Don't shh.
And the wake eventually disappears.
Actually, if you're gonna be on that
Well,
side...
no, I'm meant to be. You know, he keeps coming back saying, here's some data for you. Follow me. Drops out. I try and follow him, but I can't seem to get the timing right. Did it once before, but now I can't seem to do it again.
There's 2 over there.
Don't forget there's 2 by the campfire and there's dogs downstairs. Down the other side of the settlement. I'm gonna go to the other side, see if I can take out the dogs and their trainer. Fuck, I missed a shot.
Just don't get detected. Oh, I did tell you there's a water.
There was a mortar and it detected me. I'm sorry. May as well leave the area. Go for the next one.
Inbound on your position.
Fucking Smoky Skies Bulletin again. Good times.
We are coming in from the east.
What's with all the flares over here? What have I accidentally discovered? What is this? It's just flares everywhere. DJ, come have a look at this, where my character is.
remember, one of the two. Have either of you done those missions where you meant to meet someone in space? He gives you some data, and then you're meant to take it back to a destination.
No, I've never done that. Was that?
It's my second attempt, and I can't seem to time his bloody weight jump.
Oh, sometimes you can get the stuff like the objective marker that you need from a star, like the star in that system. I would recommend giving that a go.
You've got to drop out in behind somebody on their way. My suggestion would be to immediately slam the brakes and like point up a little bit so you can line up with it, because it's the same as coming in on a station, right? Like you need both things in the blue and then you can drop out.
Yeah, well, it's not a good distance. I'm like,
he can't
really
lock
close.
on.
I just lost. Fuck, this is ridiculous.
Honestly, there are some missions like that where I just give up. Even if they pay a lot, you gotta weigh up how much time you want to spend on it.
We are coming in from the west.
DJ, are you trying to bomb me?
No, I got
Holy fuck. Just hold on, I gotta... Yeah, I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Alright.
You're way through it. Scream.
Almost positive I knew this guy, and he apparently got shot dead in the Okanagan now. Great. Oh, that good life.
As long as the situation that got him shot doesn't directly affect you, I'd say you're safe, right?
Oh, fuck, he's in a way different place than me, and even then, you know, I knew him, I was associated with him, but I never did anything with him.
Okay.
No illegal shit with him.
Oh no, I wasn't talking about that, I was just talking about, like, the people he knew and shit like that.
Oh, they'd only come after me if I was doing shit with him, really. He was in the drug raid.
That's right, Chairman. Your skills available.
Figures. Well, live by the sword, die by the sword.
Yep.
To a certain degree. Like, you deal weed, you won't, you know, get killed over it, that's for sure.
I say that in the States.
Okay,
I mean, it's better
fine.
now that California, like... But I knew people that would go down to the States, and they would trade a pound of weed for a pound of cocaine straight across.
Ooh,
Because
that's
worth
dangerous.
the worth in each country was about the same. Having that pound of BC Bud went for as much as that pound of cocaine would go for here.
Okay.
But I will say also that frequently those bricks of cocaine, I only ever saw like 2 or 3 that were like this, but they had the United States seal stamped into it. The U.S. is responsible for a large portion of the drug trade.
Of course they are. As much as they protest to stop it, they are making money out of it.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, fuck the CIA. There's been planes that the CIA owned that have gone down with tons of cocaine on it. And the story got fucking buried, but about 4 or 5 years ago in California, the army got in shit because I think Cuba or one of the other like drug-making facilities, like countries basically, had this big raid and they couldn't get rid of the cocaine fast enough, and the U.S. military went in there and said that the government of Cuba had asked them to help and took a whole bunch of that shit, put it in the back of a military airplane, and then flew it to America to quote-unquote dispose of it.
By selling it, yeah.
And then the Cuban government came out and said, we have no fucking idea what the fuck they're talking about. We were just gonna burn it all.
Yeah. What better way to keep a populace in control than to have half of them drugged out?
By keeping them impoverished.
Yeah, exactly.
Impoverished and unhappy, because if you have money and you're happy, you will have a much less chance of doing drugs or getting addicted or letting it ruin your life because you have far more to lose. One of the best quotes from the Fast and the Furious franchise, I think it was like number 5, but Buddy sat there and he was talking about how the Portuguese came over and took over a place that had turned them down numerous times and turned down different countries of the world, and he goes, do you know how they did it? First they came here and they made friends. They gave them this, they gave them that, they gave them really good shit, things that they didn't want to lose. And once they had things that they didn't want to lose, they started making the demands.
Yeah, that's the thing. And also, if they keep the populace impoverished, drugged up, and distracted, they aren't going to pay attention to the shit you're doing.
Commander?
Yes, DJ, I'm almost ready, sorry.
Oh no, it's not that. I was actually thinking of crashing because this headache's not going away.
God damn it, Cushion LeBrug, look what you've done now.
We were too intellectual for DJ.
Well, yeah, if you want to, man, that's fine. I've got Kush here, I've got Fallout 4, so I've got plenty to do, man, so... I won't take offense to you leaving.
Oh, it's just that I'm starting to really fatigue, that's all.
Holy fuck. 1.15 million hectares burned now. That's the equivalent of...
Shit.
Yeah, that's a lot of Australia.
Yeah. It's a pretty good chunk of BC right now, too.
That'd be more than where I live. Like, the entire, like, city.
Well, and the fucked up thing about that is most of that is still burning. Plateau's 520,000 hectares, fucking Elephant Hill's just about 200,000, Risk Creek is over 200,000, and that doesn't account for the extra 154 fucking fires that are still going, that are just small numbers building into one. So we legit have about 1 million plus hectares burning right now, which comes out to 2.5 million acres.
No, I'm in Australia. FI 560.
Yeah, see, I think that's like an interesting conundrum too, but you guys have more land burned, but I think that a lot of that has to do with the fact that you have a lot more grass and stuff like that. Like,
we have a lot more land that we don't give a shit about too.
Well, we've got a lot of land that we don't really give a shit about because it's not really occupied and shit like that, but it's just like wind has to go through large trees, and not just a couple of trees, a literal sea of fucking trees. You know
I have to pull you up on this point now, because it's been twice. And like I tried to say last time, we do have just as many trees as you do, they're just more concentrated in one area.
However,
we do in fact have a lot more grass.
Yeah, that's the thing though, you are a mix. You have grasslands and tree lands, whereas in BC, it's nothing but trees. In Alberta, we frequently have burnt larger swaths of land, but generally speaking, most of that has to do with the plains. If we go by, like, total amount of plant matter, carbon dioxide and smoke that has been ejected into the air different.
Alright, I just want to thank everybody for watching my Far Cry 4 stream. I was planning to go on a bit longer, but I don't know if you've seen my channel, but my streams actually dropped out 2 or 3 times. So I'll be going to bed, but tomorrow I'll be back online with Just Cause 3. If any of you want me to visit your YouTube channel, just leave a message on one of my videos so I can click back on the link. And I just want to thank everybody for watching, and have a good day. Talk to you soon.